Okay, so you want to own the biggest hotel in the country. Thousands of rooms, guests checking in every single day, restaurants full, pools packed, money coming in around the clock. Here's the problem. The biggest hotel in America has two different owners right now, and neither one of them runs the building the way you'd expect. One of them collects a check every single day, whether a single guest ever checks in or not. The other one takes on every bit of the risk and keeps whatever's left over. Hold on to that split, because by the end of this video, it's going to explain almost everything about how a building this size actually makes money. Before making this video, I went through the original company filings from when this hotel was built, the public sale documents from when it changed hands a few years ago, and the actual financial breakdown the company reported the year it opened. So everything in this video is based on real research, not guesswork. And by the end of it, you'll understand which hotel actually holds the title of biggest in the country, exactly how much it cost to build something this size in the first place, why the man who built it sold the whole thing just weeks after his death changed everything for his family, why casino revenue quietly out-earns the rooms themselves, and the one number that decided who really controls a building worth billions of dollars. To understand any of that, you first need to know exactly which building we're talking about. The biggest hotel in the United States is the Venetian Resort in Las Vegas, counting its connected Palazzo Tower as part of the same property, which is how it's actually run day to day. Combined, the two towers hold 7,117 rooms, every single one of them a suite, making it the largest hotel in the country and the second largest in the entire world. The next closest competitor, the MGM Grand, also in Las Vegas, holds around 6,852 rooms. 7 or 8 of the 10 largest hotels in America all sit within a few miles of each other on the same stretch of road in the Nevada desert. Building something this size didn't happen all at once. The original Venetian opened its doors in May of 1999, built by a businessman named Sheldon Adelson on the site of the Old Sands Hotel, and it cost roughly $1.5 billion to construct, one of the most expensive resorts anyone had ever built at the time. The building had just over 3 Marrows and Suites when it opened, a 120,000 square foot casino floor, and its own indoor canal system with singing gondoliers on opening day. In homage to the city of Venice, the whole resort was designed to imitate down to the painted sky ceilings and replica bridges. It wasn't done growing. In 2007, Adelson added a second tower called the Palazzo, at a cost of somewhere between $1.9 and $2.4 billion on its own, more than doubling the size of the property and locking in its position as the largest hotel in America. For comparison, the entire cost of building a large mid-sized regional hospital or a professional sports stadium in the same era usually landed somewhere in the range of one of those two towers alone, not both combined. Added up, and the total investment to build the combined Venetian and Palazzo complex ran somewhere north of $3.4 billion before either tower ever earned a single dollar back. So here's the part nobody tells you about a hotel this size. The room you sleep in is not actually the main event. When the original Venetian filed its first full financial report as a public company, the numbers told a story most guests never think about. Casino revenue for that reporting period came in at roughly $134 million. Room revenue from every one of those thousands of suites combined came in at around $90 million, lower than the casino floor, even though the rooms were the part that took $1.5 billion to build. The hotel isn't really a hotel with a casino attached to it. It's a casino with a very large, very beautiful place for you to sleep between visits to the casino floor. Which brings us to the mechanism that decides who actually controls a building like this, and it's simpler than it sounds once you see it laid out. In 2021, Sheldon Adelson passed away in January, and just weeks later, in March, his company announced it was selling the entire Venetian complex. The final deal closed in early 2022 for a combined $6.25 billion. And here's the part that matters. The building didn't sell to one buyer. It sold to two completely separate companies, splitting ownership in a way that most hotel guests never realize is possible. A real estate investment company called VSI Properties paid $4 billion for the land and the physical building itself, the walls, the floors, the structure. A separate investment firm called Apollo paid $25 billion for the right to actually run the hotel, the casino, the restaurants, and every day-to-day operation inside it. Then the two companies signed an agreement. Apollo would pay $250 million a year in rent, locked in for 30 years, no matter what happens inside the building. Think of it like the difference between owning an apartment building and running the leasing office inside it. One person owns the walls and collects rent like clockwork. The other person deals with every broken pipe, every unhappy tenant, and keeps whatever profit is left after the rent check clears. That's exactly the deal VSI and Apollo signed on one of the largest hotels on earth. VSI gets $250 million a year, whether the casino has its best year ever or its worst one. Apollo gets everything above that, and every bit of the risk if a bad year comes along, but two forces make running the actual hotel side of that deal harder than it looks. The first is that a hotel this size is almost entirely dependent on people wanting to travel to one specific desert city, which makes it deeply exposed to anything that stops travel in its tracks. When global travel shut down in 2020, casino resorts across Las Vegas saw revenue fall by well over half in a matter of weeks, and the fixed costs of running a building with thousands of rooms, a full casino floor, and a massive convention center didn't pause along with the guests. Staff still needed paying, utilities still needed covering, property taxes still came due. A building this large has almost no way to shrink its costs quickly when the guests simply stop coming, which is exactly what happened almost overnight. The second force is newer, and it's changing the entire shape of the casino business from the inside. Online sports betting and digital gambling platforms have exploded across the country in recent years, giving people a way to gamble from their couch that didn't meaningfully exist a decade ago. A casino floor that once had no real competition for a gambler's attention is now competing with an app on that same gambler's phone before they've even booked a flight to Nevada. That shift doesn't necessarily shrink the total amount of money Americans gamble each year, but it does change who's collecting it. And a hotel built around getting people to physically walk onto its casino floor has to work harder every year to justify the trip when the same bet is available from a couch in another state entirely. So what does this actually look like on a real balance sheet? This is where that one number I promised you finally shows up. It's the split in that 2021 sale. $4 billion for the real estate, $2.25 billion for the operations, and it explains the entire logic of who wants which half of a deal like this. Let's run both sides of it and see what that split actually means in practice. Side 1, owning the real estate, the VSI side of the deal, you paid $4 billion, and in exchange, you collect a guaranteed $250 million a year in rent for 30 years, regardless of how many rooms are booked or how the casino floor performs on any given night. That's roughly a 6.25% return on your money every single year, locked in by contract, with almost none of the day-to-day risks sitting on your desk. Side 2, owning the operations, the Apollo side of the deal. You paid $2.25 billion, and now you keep every dollar of casino room, restaurant, and convention revenue that comes through the doors. After you've paid VSI its $250 million in rent first, no matter what kind of year it's been. In a strong year, with the casino floor busy and rooms full, that upside can run into the hundreds of millions of dollars in profit. In a weak year, a pandemic, a recession, a slow tourism season, that same $250 million rent payment still comes due on schedule, whether the casino made money that month or not. Same building, same 7,117 rooms. Two completely different bets, split down the middle by a single number in a 2021 contract. So here's the ownership verdict on the biggest hotel in the country. Capital intensity, 10 out of 10, since even the operating half of this deal alone cost $2.25 billion. On top of the original $3.4 billion it took to physically build the two towers in the first place. Regulatory and legal risk, 6 out of 10, because casino operations carry heavy gaming licensing requirement, but the real estate side of the deal, the VICI side, carries very little regulatory exposure at all. Margin stability, 7 out of 10, because the real estate side is remarkably steady thanks to that locked-in 30-year rent, while the operating side swings hard with tourism, travel disruption, and competition from online gambling. Structural moat, 8 out of 10, because there's only so much land on the Las Vegas Strip and nobody is building another 117-room hotel next door anytime soon. Overall ownership verdict, 8 out of 10, but only if you know which half of the deal you're actually buying. You're not really in the business of running a hotel. You're in the business of deciding whether you want to be the one collecting the rent check every month, or the one keeping the lights on and hoping the casino floor stays busy enough to cover it. And if you're watching this with $0, congratulations. You beat the casino by staying home.